Everybody, welcome back. These are the best films of 1956. These are the blockbusters, romance, war, thriller, comedy, drama, you name it, we got it covered. These are the best films of 1956. Let's get started. 23 Paces to Baker Street. A blind American writer living in London stumbles upon a criminal conspiracy involving kidnapping and extortion. Crime, mystery, and thriller. 23 Paces to Baker Street. Van Johnson and Vera Miles. Diane. Drama, history, and music. In the 16th century, a noblewoman has a love affair with the French king. Diane. This movie is exquisite. You gotta check out Diane. We love Diane. 1984. Drama and sci-fi. In a totalitarian future society, Winston Smith, whose daily work is rewriting history, tries to rebel by falling in love. 1984. Edmund O'Brien. Anastasia. Ingrid Bergman, Yul Brynner, and Helen Hayes. An opportunistic businessman tries to pass off a mysterious impostor as the Grand Duchess, Anastasia. And she is so convincing that even the biggest skeptics believe her. Baby Doll. Comedy drama. An immature child bride holds her anxious husband at bay while flirting with an amorous Sicilian farmer. Baby Doll. This movie is exquisite. Make sure you catch Baby Doll. Between Heaven and Hell. The spoiled rich son of a wealthy southerner is changed by his experiences in the Pacific during World War II. Drama and war. Between Heaven and Hell. Robert Wagner, Terry Moore, and Broderick Crawford. Beyond a Reasonable Doubt. Crime, drama, and thriller. A novelist aided by his future father-in-law conspires to frame himself for the murder of a burlesque dancer as part of an effort to ban capital punishment. Beyond a Reasonable Doubt is a scorcher. Mawani Junction. Adventure, drama, and history. Anglo-Indian Victoria Jones seeks her true identity amid the chaos of the British withdrawal from India. Adventure, drama, and history. Mawani Junction will not disappoint. Bus Stop. Comedy, drama, and romance. A naive but stubborn cowboy falls in love with a saloon singer and tries to take her away against her will to get married and live on his ranch in Montana. Bus Stop. Carousel. Drama, fantasy, and musical. 15 years after his death, a carousel barker is granted permission to return to Earth for one day to make amends to his widow and their daughter. Carousel. This is a beautiful movie. It's a fun movie. Check out Carousel. Crime of Passion. Kathy leaves the newspaper business to marry homicide detective Bill, but is frustrated by his lack of ambition and the banality of life in the suburbs. Crime, drama, and thriller. Crime of Passion. The Eddie Dutchin Story. Biography, drama, and music. The life story of the famous pianist and band leader of the 30s and 40s. Eddie Dutchin Story. This movie is exquisite with Tyrone Power and Kim Novak. Check out the Eddie Dutchin Story. The Fastest Gun Alive. Drama and Western. In the western frontier town of Cross Creek, storekeeper George Temple is a polite and soft-spoken man with a secret past. If you like drama and western, The Fastest Gun Alive is a great movie to watch. Foreign Intrigue. Crime, drama, and mystery. When a reclusive, enigmatic millionaire dies suddenly on the Riviera, his press agent begins to investigate his employer's shady past. Foreign Intrigue. Check it out. Gun the Man Down, Western. Two bank robbers abandon their wounded partner to the posse and run with the loot, but their partner, after serving time in prison, seeks revenge. Gun the Man Down. This movie is good. It's about revenge. You gotta watch it. Hot Blood. Drama, music. Stefan Torino, who is tricked by his brother Marco into an arranged marriage with tempestuous Annie Caldash, Annie is willing to give her the union a go. But turmoil ensues. Hot Blood. A Kiss Before Dying. Crime, thriller, and mystery. A ruthless college student resorts to murder in an attempt to marry an heiress. A Kiss Before Dying. Robert Wagner and Jeffrey Hunter. This movie is great. Meet Me in Las Vegas. Comedy, romance, and musical. In 1950s Las Vegas, a gambling rancher and a ballerina discover that some people have luck at cars while others have luck at love. Meet Me in Las Vegas. Dan Daly and Sid Charisse. The Mountain. Adventure and drama. Selfish Chris Teller pressures his older brother, a retired climber, to accompany him on a treacherous alpine climb to loot the bodies of plane crash victims. The Mountain. Spencer Tracy and Robert Wagner. Nightfall. Crime, drama, and thriller. Through a series of bizarre coincidences, an artist finds himself falsely accused of bank robbery and murder and is pursued by the authorities and the real killers. Nightfall. Brian Keith and Anne Bancroft. Please Murder Me. Crime, drama, and thriller. A lawyer suffers a guilt complex after getting a murder acquittal for his client, and then finding out she did commit the crime. Please Murder Me. This movie is good. It's a thriller with a lot of jump scare. Rock Around the Clock. Comedy, musical, and romance. Orchestra manager Steve Hollis realizes that big band music is dead. People want something new, but what? Rock Around the Clock will not disappoint. It's the birth of rock and roll. 7 Men from Now. Drama and western. A former sheriff blames himself for the wife's death during a Wells Fargo robbery and vows to track down and kill the 7 men responsible. 7 Men from Now. Randolph Scott, Gail Russell, and Lee Marvin. Ransom. After the child and wealthy parents get abducted, the police and a member of the press intervene to assist the parents in their search but end up complicating their impending decision. Ransom. Glenn Ford and Donna Reed. Run for the Sun. Adventure thriller. In Central America, an action-adventure novelist and a journalist for a magazine find themselves at the mercy of Nazi war criminals. Run for the Sun. Richard Widmark, Trevor Howard, and Jane Greer. Safari. Adventure. During the Mau Mau uprising in British Kenya in the 50s, settler hunter Ken Duffield is a hired guide for a lion hunting party, but he also hopes to find the Mau Mau rebel who killed his father. Safari. Victor Mature and Janet Leigh. The Searchers. Adventure, drama, and western. An American Civil War veteran embarks on a years-long journey to rescue his niece from the Comanches after the rest of his brother's family is massacred in a raid on their Texas farm. The Searchers. Tea and Sympathy. Deborah Kerr and John Kerr. A new senior at a boys' prep school finds himself harassed by the machismo culture of his classmates and the unfeeling behavior by his father, only being treated with decency by his roommates. Tea and Sympathy. The Last Wagon. Richard Widmark and Felicia Farr. Wagon train survivors of an Apache attack and trust the sheriff's prisoner, Scout Comanche Todd, with their lives despite his wanted for murder status. The Last Wagon is a very good movie. The Weapon. Crime, mystery, and thriller. A boy accidentally shoots a friend with a gun he found in the rubble of a destroyed building. The gun turns out to be a clue in a 10-year-old murder case. The Weapon. Next up we have is the classic, The Bold and the Brave, Drama and War. An assortment of American types come together in the Italian campaign of 1944. The Bold and the Brave, Mickey Rooney, Wendell Corey, and Don Taylor. This movie will not disappoint. The Burning Hills, drama, romance, and western. When Tracy Jordan's brother is murdered by members of the land-grabbing Sutton family, he vows to report this injustice to the nearest army fort. The Burning Hills. This movie is good. Next up we have is The Conqueror, adventure, biography, and history. Mongol chief Temujin battles against Tartar armies and for the love of the Tartar princess Borte. Temujin becomes the emperor Genghis Khan. The Conqueror is a great movie. The Harder They Fall, drama and sport. An ex-sports writer is hired by a shady fight promoter to promote his latest find. An unknown but easily exploitable rising star from Argentina. The Harder They Fall. The Man Who Never Was. In order to fool the Germans into thinking the Allied invasion of Sicily will take place elsewhere, British military intelligence comes up with a cunning nurse. The Man Who Never Was. Clifton Webb and Gloria Graham. The Rack. A decorated Korean War hero inexplicably collaborates with the enemy while interned in a POW camp and is court-martialed. The Rack. Featuring Paul Newman. This movie is good. Check it out. The Rainmaker. During the Depression, a con man promises rain to a desperate drought-ridden Kansas town and marriage to a local desperate spinster. The Rainmaker. Burt Lancaster and Katharine Hepburn. Next up we have is the classic, The Swan. Alec Guinness, Grace Kelly, and Louise Jordan. Comedy, romance, and drama. When a crown prince visits, the prince's mother tries to push the prince into marrying her daughter by presenting a rival at the ball, her children's handsome tutor. The Swan. The Wrong Man. In 1953, an innocent man named Christopher Emmanuel Manny Balestrero is arrested after being mistaken for an armed robber. The Wrong Man. Drama and thriller and mystery. Three Violent People. Drama and western. When Confederate officer Colt Saunders returns to his Texas ranch after the war, he finds his lands wanted by carpetbaggers and by corrupt provisional government commissioners. Three Violent People. A tribute to a bad man. With no law within 200 miles, horse rancher Jeremy Rodek runs his bread with an iron hand and deals with rustlers even more ruthlessly. Tribute to a bad man. Walk the Proud Land. An agent sent from the Washington in 1874 takes charge of an Apache reservation and has the oppressive U.S. Army back off. Biography, drama, and history. Walk the Proud Land. Alexander the Great. The life and military conquest of Alexander III of Macedon, commonly known as Alexander the Great. Featuring Robert Rosen, Richard Burton, and Frederick March. A Man Escaped. A captured French resistance fighter during World War II engineers a daunting escape from a Nazi prison in France. Drama, thriller, and war. A Man Escaped. This is a good movie. You gotta check it out. And God Created Woman. Original title, Et Dieu. Drama, romance. In sunny Saint-Tropez, a young sexpot loves one brother but marries the other. Anything Goes. Musical romance. Bill Benson and Ted Adams are to appear in a Broadway show together, and while in Paris, each discovers the perfect leading lady for the plump female role. Anything Goes. This movie is romance and musical with some light comedy to it. Around the World in 80 Days. Adventure, comedy, and family. A Victorian Englishman bets that with the new steamships and railways, he can circumnavigate the globe in 80 days. Around the World in 80 Days is a true classic. Autumn Leaves. A lonely middle-aged woman meets a younger man, but the relationship is threatened when the man's troubled past reveals itself. Autumn Leaves, featuring the legendary Joan Crawford. Back from Eternity. When a commercial plane force lands in a South American jungle, the passengers and pilots must patch up the engines and escape the cannibal-infested area. Back from Eternity. Robert Ryan, Anita Ekberg, and Rod Steiger. Backlash. Jim Slater seeks a survivor of the Apache ambush his father died in. Backlash. Richard Widmark and Donna Reed. Drama and Western. This film is a scorcher. It's a scorcher. Bigger Than Life. Drama. A seriously ill schoolteacher becomes dependent on a miracle drug that begins to affect her sanity. Bigger Than Life. Featuring James Mason and Barbara Rush. This movie is pretty intense. A Catered Affair. Comedy, drama, and romance. When Jane tells her parents that she is getting married to Ralph Halloran, her mother Agnes starts planning an elaborate wedding, even though Jane does not wish it. A Catered Affair. Bette Davis, Debbie Reynolds, and Barry Fitzgerald. Crashing Las Vegas. Action, adventure, and comedy. An electric shock enables Satch to predict murder. An electric shock. The Bowery Boys, you cannot go wrong. Every film of the Bowery Boys, easily 5 out of 5. Dance With Me, Henry. This is with Bud Abbott and Lou Costello. Comedy, two goofballs trying to run a beaten down old amusement park. Dance With Me, Henry. This was the very last film of Bud Abbott and Lou Costello, released in 1956. Don't Knock the Rock. A disc jockey tries to prove to teenagers' parents that rock and roll is harmless and won't turn their kids into juvenile delinquents. Don't Knock the Rock. Starring Bill Haley and the Comets, Alan Dale, and Alan Freed. Earth versus the Flying Saucers. Action, horror, and sci-fi. Extraterrestrials traveling in high-tech flying saucers contact a scientist as part of a plan to enslave the inhabitants of Earth. Earth versus the Flying Saucers. This is a very scary movie of its time. Fighting Trouble. Action, adventure, and comedy. Satch has become a camera fiend, so in the pursuit of some ready cash, Duke takes him and his photographs to the editor of the New York Morning Blade. Fighting Trouble. Forbidden Planet. Adventure, sci-fi, and horror. A starship crew in the 23rd century goes to investigate the silence of a distant planet's colony, only to find just 2 survivors, a powerful robot, and the deadly secret of a lost civilization. Francis and the Haunted House. Francis and the Talking Mule witness a murder. He takes a bumbling reporter named David Prescott under his wing, and the two of them set out to solve the crime. Comedy, family, and fantasy. Francis and the Haunted House. Giant. Drama and Western. Sprawling epic covering the life of Texas cattle rancher and his family and associates. James Dean. The Giant. Or Giant, rather. Next up we have is Godzilla, King of the Monsters. A 400-foot dinosaur-like beast awoken from the underseas hibernation off the Japanese coast by atomic bomb testing attacks Tokyo. Godzilla, King of the Monsters. This is where it all started. Godzilla, King of the Monsters. High Society, comedy, musical, and romance. With socialite Tracy Lord about to remarry her ex-husband, with the help of a sympathetic reporter, has 48 hours to convince her that she really still loves him. High Society, Hollywood or Bust. Comedy and musical. A singer who can't pay his bookie joins a nerdy, starstruck movie fan and his Great Dane in cross-country convertible ride to Hollywood. Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin, Hollywood or Bust. Invasion of the Body Snatchers, drama, horror, and sci-fi. A small-town doctor learns that the population of his community is being replaced by emotionless alien duplicates. This movie, along with War of the Worlds, was scary when it first came out and people were frightened by it. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. The Iron Petticoat, Bob Hope and Katharine Hepburn. Captain Vinka Kovalenko defects from Russia, but not for political reasons. She defects because she feels discriminated against as a woman. Enter Bob Hope, the Iron Petticoat. Jubal, drama, romance, and western. A new foreman rejects the sexual advances of a frustrated rancher's wife, which leads to conflicts that could get him killed. Jubal, Ernest Borgnine, Glenn Ford, and Rod Steiger. The King and I. A widow accepts a job as a living governess to the King of Siam's children. The King and I. Deborah Kerr and Yul Brynner. Next up we have is the classic The Last Hunt, drama and western. In 1883, South Dakota, two buffalo hunters start a personal feud over a captured squaw and a standoff with a Dakota raiding party over some stolen horses. Next up we have is Lisbon, adventure, crime, and drama. High-stakes battle of wits and morals between gentlemen crooks set in beautiful Portugal. A smuggler is hired to kidnap the rich husband of an American woman who just arrived in Lisbon. Lisbon. Love Me Tender. At the end of the Civil War, a Confederate team is ordered to rob a Union payroll train, but the war ends leaving these men with their Union loot. Elvis Presley. This movie is classic, and he shines. Lust for Life. The life of brilliant but tortured artist Vincent van Gogh. Lust for Life, starring Kirk Douglas as Vincent van Gogh. This movie is pretty good. If you like art and biographies, this movie is for you. Moby Dick. The sole survivor of a lost whaling ship relates the tale of his captain's self-destructive obsession to hunt the white whale, Moby Dick. Before the shark, there was the whale, Moby Dick. That was a pretty good poster. Next up we have is Never Say Goodbye, drama and romance. In 1945, Yana, an American doctor, marries an Austrian girl who later disappears in the Soviet-controlled zone during a first visit there, forcing everyone to presume her dead. Partners. A rich mama's boy returns west with the son of his murdered father's partner to foil a gang trying to gain control of his family ranch. Partners featuring Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. The Phantom from 10,000 Leagues. A seaside community is terrorized by a hideous sea monster, which has been created by experiments in atomic radiation. The Phantom from 10,000 Leagues. Horror, classic horror. Remember the beast from 20,000 Fathoms? Here's the Phantom from 10,000 Leagues. Friendly Persuasion, drama, family, and romance. The pacifist attitude of a Quaker family is tested as a result of the American Civil War. Friendly Persuasion, Gary Cooper, William Myers, and Dorothy McGuire. War and Peace, drama, romance, and war. Napoleon's tumultuous relations with Russia, including his disastrous 1812 invasion, serve as the backdrop for the tangled personal lives of two aristocratic families. War and Peace. The first traveling sales lady. In the late 1800s, two East Coast sales ladies decided to stop selling corsets and head west to sell barbed wire to Texas cowboys, but they faced opposition from big ranchers who feared the steal. The King and Four Queens. Opportunistic conman Dan Kehoe ingratiates himself with the cantankerous mother of four outlaws and their beautiful widow in order to find their hidden gold. The King and Four Queens. Clark Gable was a master. The Naked Hills. In 1849, an Indiana farmer develops a lifelong gold fever and an obsession with finding her mother lode in the California hills. The Naked Hills. David Wayne, Keenan Wynn, and James Barton. The Revolt of Miami Stover. Drama, music, and war. Set in the early 40s, a San Francisco prostitute is run out of town just as the Second World War has begun to intensify. Mandy settles down in Hawaii, hoping to start a new life. Rodan. A mining engineer investigates the death of his fellow co-workers and discovers prehistoric nymphs emerging from the mine. Rodan. This movie was a scorcher. It was the next best thing to King Kong and Godzilla. Rodan. Slightly Scarlet. Crime, drama, and film noir. An urban wheeler dealer gets involved in organized crime, corrupt city politics, and graft while falling in love with the fiancée of the newly elected mayor. Next up we have is Somebody Up There Likes Me. Biography, drama, and sport. Boxer Rocky Graciano's biopic, based on his autobiography, from childhood to his World Middleweight Championship title win at the age of 28 in 1947. Somebody Up There Likes Me. Storm Center. During the 1950s, a small-town librarian is shunned by the locals after she refuses the city's council's request to remove a book on communism from the library's shelves. Storm Center. Featuring the legendary Betty Davis. The Tea House of the August Moon. In post-World War II Japan, an American captain is brought in to help build a school, but the locals want a tea house instead. The Tea House of August Moon. That Certain Feeling. Comedy. Divorced comic strip cartoonist Francis X. Dignan is hired as a ghostwriter by pompous client Larry Clarkin, who happens to be the fiancé of Dagan's ex-wife. Next up we have is The Best Things in Life Are Free. Biography and musical. Ray joins Buddy and Lou to form a successful 1920s musical show writing team. Soon, they're going to have several hits on Broadway, but Buddy's ambition leads to friction. The Court Jester. Action, comedy, and family. A hapless carnival performer masquerades as the court jester as part of a plot against an evil ruler who has overthrown the rightful king. The Court Jester. Next up we have is The Girl Can't Help It. Comedy and music. A gangster hires a down-and-out press agent to make his airhead girlfriend a singing star. The Girl Can't Help It. The Lone Ranger, drama and western. Wealthy rancher Reese Kilgore aims to grab silver-rich Indian land by skillfully pitting Indians against settlers, but the suspicious territorial governor sends the Lone Ranger to investigate. Next that we have is The Man Who Knew Too Much. Here we go. The Man Who Knew Too Much. Drama and thriller. An American doctor and his wife, a former singing star, witness a murder while vacationing in Morocco, and are drawn into a twisting plot of intentional international intrigue. Next up we have is The Proud and Profane. Drama, romance, and war. In the Pacific during World War II, a Roman Catholic widow falls for a tough lieutenant colonel. Next up we have is The Rainmaker. During the Depression, a con man promises rain to a despite drought-ridden Kansas town, marriage to a local desperate newspaper. The Rainmaker. The Ten Commandments. Adventure, drama, and family. Moses Raised as a prince of Egypt in the pharaoh's household, learns of his true heritage as a Hebrew and his divine mission as the delivery driver of the people from slavery. The Violent Years. Paula Parkins is a teenage daughter of the wealthy parents who can't seem to make time for her. She looks for the thrills as the leader of all her gang who rob and rape young men. The Werewolf. Horror and sci-fi. In Mountain Crest, a stranger without money arrives in a bar to have a drink. When he leaves the bar, a local tries to rob him, but he turns into an animal and kills the attacker. Next up we have is the classic The Bad Seed. Drama, horror, and thriller. Rhoda Penmark seems like your average sweet 8-year-old girl. When her rival at school dies in mysterious circumstances at the school picnic, her mother starts to suspect that Rhoda was a witch. The Bad Seed. There's Always Tomorrow. Drama and romance. When a toy manufacturer feels ignored and unappreciated by his wife and children, he begins to rekindle a past love when a former employee comes back into life. The Killing. Crime drama. Crook Johnny Clay assembles a 5-man team to plan and execute a daring racetrack robbery. The Killing. Starring Hayden. These wilder years, a middle-aged man tries to reconnect with his illegitimate son, who was given to an orphanage many years ago. James Cagney, Barbara Stanwyck. These wilder times. The Wrong Man. Drama and mystery. In 1953, an innocent man named Christopher Emmanuel Manning Balestrero is arrested after being mistaken for an armed robber. Next up we have is the classic comedy and romance. 3 Men in a Boat. 3 London gentlemen take vacation rowing down the Thames, entering various mishaps and misadventures along the way. 3 Men in a Boat. 3 Brave Men. During the Cold War, a Maryland civilian employee of the U.S. Navy is deemed a security risk, and he fights the official charges of being a communist sympathizer. 3 Brave Men. Drama. Toward the Unknown. Drama, history, and romance. At the dawn of supersonic flight in 1950s, a group of Edwards Air Force Base experimental aircraft test pilots pushed themselves to the limit. Toward the Unknown featured the legendary William Holden. We love William Holden. Trapeze. Drama and romance. A crippled circus acrobat is torn emotionally between 2 ambitious young trapeze artists, one talented young American and a less gifted but beautiful Italian. Trapeze. Written on the Wing. Alcoholic playboy Kyle Hadley marries the woman secretly loved by his poor but hardworking best friend, who in turn is pursued by Kyle's nymphomaniac sister. Written on the Wind. Rock Hudson, Lauren Bacall, Robert Stack, and Dorothy Malone. X, the Unknown. A radioactive, mud-like creature terrorizes a Scottish village. X, the Unknown. This movie is scary, it's sci-fi, but mostly scary and it's a horror. And lastly we have You Can't Run Away From It. Comedy, musical, and romance. Ellen is kidnapped by her father after she ran off and got married to someone he thinks is a gold digger. She escapes and starts an adventure trip back to Hollywood. You Can't Run Away From It. Those are the best films of 1956. What do you think about the films of 1956? Are there any movies that I left out? Leave your comments below and then we can discuss them at another video. Alright, thank you all for watching. Those were the films of 1956, the best films. Stay tuned for more. I'll see you folks real soon.